Good evening, everybody. So, thank you so much for joining our session. Myself, Harini from Sai Chronicle. Just a small introduction of what Sai Chronicle is. So, it is a community forum which aims in spreading a lot of scientific facts to community. We are a registered organization and we have been functioning for past 1 year. The speaker for today is Mr. D. Anant Raj. So he's currently working as an assistant professor in Karpagam Academy of Sciences, Coimbatore, deemed to be university. He is having a varied area of expertise. So he has completed his PhD from Bharatiyar University. And also his area of expertise includes molecular microbiological techniques and then PCR techniques. He has completed a lot of long-term and short-term courses. And he also has a lot of publications, and his area of interest is very wide. Thank you so much, Anand sir, for accepting our invitation. The forum is yours. And we have a kind request to all the participants. Kindly stay muted till the session ends. We'll be giving you time to post your questions. You can either unmute and ask or type it in the chat box. Kindly do not record any of the proceedings, as the content and everything belongs to Sai Chronicle and the respective speaker. So without our knowledge, nobody can record or use it for any other purposes. Thank you so much.
Good evening to everyone. As Nam introduced me, I don't want to waste the time by again saying that. Today, I am going to present the topic on exploring novel microbes and their products towards cancer therapeutics. We all know cancer is the leading diseases nowadays. So, in that cancer, still now there is no cure for cancer, and still now all the scientists and researchers are searching for the occurrence, how cancer is occurring. Usually, the cancer occurs in 7 stages. That is, first mutation, which is a single base pair, a single nucleotide base pair will be get mutated. Then second mutation, third mutation, and fourth mutation. In that fourth mutation, the tumor will occur. Tumor is nothing but the group of cells which don't have any properties. And once the tumor formed, it will cross the metastasis phase, which is nothing but it will cross the basal membrane in our body. Then it turns into the cancer cells. That is the 6th step. How it will turn into cancer cells means, normally our body, in our body, there will be a blood flow. So the tumor cells will acquire nutrients through that blood flow, and it will create a false network, which is further said as cancer. Once when it starts, when it crosses the metastasis, basal membrane, then cancer will occur. Actually, this is what till now this is what till now understood by every researcher. But one more thing is, recently there are many treatments for cancer, but there is no curable. There are treatments available, but there is no curable available for the cancer. So initially, at first, the cancer, how it occurred was, first the cancer treatment started with the surgery. Surgery is nothing but removing the tumor cells. You all have to understand one thing. Removing the tumor cells is different from treating the cancer. So first was that. Then radiotherapy, which is nothing but the pausing the radiation and killing that tumor cells. The next is chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is nothing but the application of enzymes. Enzymes are proteins. We all know that all the proteins are enzyme. All the enzymes are proteins, but not all the proteins are enzyme. So we all learned about this. And one more thing is, chemotherapy involves with the enzyme therapy. And next is, now in advanced techniques, which is going to come in the upcoming days, which named as chemogene therapy. What is the difference between chemotherapy and gene therapy is, chemotherapy involves only with the enzymes. Enzymes like L-asparginase, which was used as a chemotherapeutic drug from the late 90s. Then pterin deaminase, which was employed as a chemotherapeutic drug from early 20th century. So these are all the two drugs which have more potential to treat as a these are all the two drugs which have potential to treat cancer, not cure cancer, treat cancer. Then now in abroad, like UK and in UK and Netherlands, they are working on the chemo gene therapy, which is nothing but the chemo means enzyme, gene means a particular gene. So usually we all know the difference between gene and protein. Actually, gene in the sense you all know about the gene therapy. In the upcoming slides, we will see this. Then chemo gene therapy is nothing but that we will employ the gene, the native form of the protein plus their gene sequence. I mean, plus their gene. By combining that, we are giving treatment to cancer. We are treating cancer, not curing. So now we are going to see about the microbes. What is the benefit? Why microbes? Because plant is available. Other sources also available. But why microbes? Why microbes means because microbes is present in everywhere in this world, everywhere, wherever. If you are walking and touching one area means, or touching a wall means, that new microbe will be evolved. Like that, microbes are found in everywhere. And researchers have employing several microbes and several microbial products for the gene therapy. Now, the bacterial isolates. Usually, we all know that many bacterial species which are isolated from the contaminated sites. Contaminated sites is nothing but the arsenic contaminated sites, chromium contaminated, heavy metal contaminated sites, which have the more beneficial and more therapeutic values. We all know that. And one more thing is, now due to the UV rays, since we all know that UV is the UV rays, which is released from the atmosphere, which is released from the stratosphere. There are three types of UV rays, UVA, B, and C. These three types of UV rays mainly causes skin cancer and mainly causes cancer to human beings. But one more thing is microbes, which is resistant to that UV rays, which is nothing but the Deinococcus genus. From that Deinococcus genus, I'm saying as an example as a Deinococcus genus, and many other bacteria are there. For example, and one more type of bacteria is Agrobacterium tumefaciens. We all hear about that Agrobacterium tumefaciens, which is nothing but the causing crown gall disease in plant. But if you isolate that bacteria from the soil sample, not soil sample, root soil sample of the plant means it has a therapeutic value. Their product, that isolated microbial product has a therapeutic value. This is what we are going to see today. And from that bacterial isolates, we will isolate DNA that actually bacteria, all the bacteria contains only three products, which is nothing but the genomic and which contains of two products, which is genomic and proteomic. Genomic is nothing but the genes. What are all the genes present in the bacteria? And proteomic is nothing but the proteins, enzymes, then secondary metabolites, which are all comes under the protein. Now we are going to concentrate on the proteins only. Why we are concentrating on proteins means because the reason is protein have still now up to date proteins are employed as a chemotherapy. Proteins are employed as a chemotherapeutic drugs. So we are concentrating on the protein, how to isolate a protein. And in this picture, it is showing that bacterial isolates in the genomics. Genomics is nothing but to identify what are all the genes present in that bacteria. Then genome mining. Genome mining is nothing but the mining the gene sequence, which is responsible, which nucleotide base pair is mutated first. That is called genome mining. Then dereplication, structural activity, then novel compounds. Then here, the extracts. From bacteria, through genomics, we have to come for drug discovery pipeline. But from bacterial isolates, if we isolate the protein directly means, we can directly come here, the protein structure and activity, then novel compounds. Actually, this is what the workflow. So next we go into the topic. This was the overall story. Now just introduction. Resistance to conventional anti-cancer therapeutics in patients with advanced solid tumors have prompted the need of alternative cancer therapies. Moreover, the success of novel cancer therapies like L-aspergillus, pteridinium, these are all the some drugs, and their selectivity for cancer cells limited to toxicity to normal tissues. Several decades after Coley's work, Coley is nothing but the scientist who first coiled the term therapy, chemotherapy, and genetically modified non-pathogenic bacterial species and that are being explored as a potential anti-tumor agents, either to provide direct tumor serial effect or deliver tumor serial molecules. Live attenuated or genetically modified non-pathogenic bacterial species are capable of multiplying selectively in tumors and inhibiting the growth. If we, apart from the microbial products, if we introduce the bacterial cells which is alive in a cancer patients, means it can able to stop the tumor growth of the tumor, but not plant cells or anything. Then next, due to the selectivity of our tumor tissues, these bacteria and their spores also serve as ideal vectors. Vectors are nothing but we are introducing a drug from the foreign body to host. For that, bacteria is acting as a vector. And bacterial toxins to have emerged as a promising cancer treatment strategy. The most potential and promising strategy is bacteria-based gene-directed enzyme prodrug therapy. This is what I explained earlier before starting my presentation. Although it has shown successful results in vivo, yet further investigation about targeting mechanism of the bacteria are required to make it a complete therapeutic approach in the cancer treatment. So this is what the scientists are working nowadays. Then next, general review about the cancer. Cancer usually characterized by uncontrolled and invasive growth of cells. Once these cells cross the metastasis, then only cancer cells will form. These cells may spread to other parts of the body and it is called as metastasis. This is what I'm saying. Once it crosses the basal membrane, it spreads other parts of the body. That is called metastasis. Although conventional anti-cancer therapies consisting of surgical resection, radiotherapy, and chemotherapy are effective in the management of many patients. But for about half of the cancer sufferers, these are ineffective. So alternative techniques are being developed to target their tumors. That alternative techniques which is going to implement in the near future is chemogene therapy. Then experimental cancer treatments are medical therapies which are intended to or claimed to treat cancer by improving, supplementing or replacing conventional methods. These include the photodynamic therapy, which comes under the radiation, then Hamlet, human alpha lactalbumin made lethal to tumor cells. Then gene therapy we have here. Then telomerase therapy, hyperthermia therapy, DCA, which is nothing but the dichloroacetate. It is a compound which is used for which is supplemented with the therapies. Then, which is supplemented with the gene therapy. Then non-invasive RF cancer treatment, complementary and alternative therapy, diet therapy, insulin potenting therapy, and bacterial treatment. Next, but one of the thing is, many of these therapies are controversial due to why it is not succeed, due to the lack of evidence, efficiency, feasibility, availability, specificity, and selectivity. It has been reported that some microorganisms display a selective replication in tumor cells or preferential accumulation in the tumor microenvironment, which offer a great potential for cancer therapy. Many viruses like vaccinia virus, Newcastle disease virus, Rio virus, and adenovirus with the EIA deletion. EIA is nothing but the part of a gene deletion, which are intended to achieve selective replication and killing of tumor cells that have been investigated earlier. Viruses have shown most potential to carry altered genes to cancer cells, to find target cells in the body and ability to latch onto these cells. Next, oncolytic viruses can cause rupture to cancer cells, which can then be processed by adaptive immune system, then target similar cells in other parts of the body. But one thing is, the effective use of this virus is sometimes hindered by the production of potentially neutralizing antibodies generating against them, which will damage the host immune system, not the foreign immune system, host immune system. So which lead to other side effects. It has been reported that, so in order to overcome that, scientists have reported the bacterial species which preferentially replicate, accumulate within the tumors. Moreover, they possess certain advantageous features such as motility, capacity to simultaneously carry and express multiple therapeutic proteins, and elimination by antibiotics, thus making bacterial treatment a promising new strategy in the cancer treatment. Then background. The role of bacteria as anti-cancer agent was recognized almost 100 years back. The German physician W. Bush and F. Fellayson separately observed that certain types of cancer regressed following accidental erysipelas, which is nothing but the Streptococcus pyogenes infection that occurred while patients were hospitalized. Independently, the American physician William Coley noticed that one of his patients suffering from the neck cancer began to recover following infection with the erysipelas. Then this was the milestone in the cancer treatment. He began first well-documented use of bacteria and the toxins to treat end-stage cancers. Then he developed a safer vaccine in the late 80s, composed of two killed bacterial species, namely S. pyogenes and Serratia marcescens, to stimulate an infection with accompanying fever without the risk of actual infection. And the vaccine was widely used against successful treat sarcomas, carcinomas, lymphomas, and melanomas and myelomas. Complete prolonged regression of advanced malignancy was documented in many cases afterwards. Then toxic bacterial derivatives, Cooley's toxin, were also studied for potential anti-cancer activity. The early success of Cooley's toxin provided the ground for current advances in this field. Then coming the bacterial therapy. After Cooley's initial observation, scientists discovered several other certain species of anaerobic bacteria, such as those belonging to the genus Clostridium, thrive and consume oxygen-poor cancerous tissue, whereas die when they come in contact with the tumor's oxygenated slides, which means that they would be harmless to rest of the body. These findings provided the rationale for using the bacteria as oncolytic agents. However, bacteria don't consume all parts of the malignant tissue, thus underlying the need of combining the therapy with chemotherapeutic treatments. Here we all should know about the difference between the aerobic and anaerobes. Aerobic is nothing but we all know the basic difference. Anaerobe can grow without oxygen, aerobes will grow with oxygen, which is nothing but why the oxygen is important in the sense some of the therapeutic value-added proteins or peptides cannot be produced in the anaerobes. But in aerobes, all kind of therapeutic value peptides will be produced, will be secreted. So this is the difference between the aerobic and anaerobic bacteria. Next, bacterial products like endotoxins, which is nothing but the lipopolysaccharide, have to some extent already been tested for cancer treatment. Next, bacterial toxins can be used for tumor destruction and cancer vaccines. And it also can be based on the immunotoxins of the bacterial origin. Following, bacteria can be exploited as a delivery agents for anti-cancer drugs and as a vector for gene therapy. Mainly, the spores of anaerobic bacteria can be used for the aforementioned strategies, because only spores, which is nothing but the spores that reach an oxygen-starved area of a tumor, will germinate, multiply, and become active. Which is nothing but the importance of spores in bacteria is, if a bacteria is producing spores, means it can able to multiply, it can able to grow and adapt to any environment. That is what they are mentioning here. And following that, the use of genetically modified bacteria for selective destruction of tumors and bacterial gene-directed enzyme prodrug therapy have been shown as a promising tool, potential tool. Next, this is the schematic overview of the role of bacteria in cancer therapy. First, bacteria, it can be introduced into the whole live, attenuated or genetically modified, and it can also act as a vector. In vector, vector in the sense carriers of tumor-serial agent or carriers of bacterial enzyme, which is nothing but the microbial product. Then as an immunotherapeutic agents, then toxins. Toxins, it is nothing but two types: conjugated to tumor surface antigen or conjugated to ligands. Next is spores. Bacteria as a tumor serial agent. The use of live, attenuated, or genetically modified non-pathogenic bacteria has begun to emerge as a potential anti-tumor agents, either to provide direct tumor serial effects or to deliver tumor serial molecules. Several experimental studies have shown that the pathogenic species of the anaerobic Clostridia were able to proliferate preferentially within the necrotic regions of the tumors and in animals as compared to normal tissues, which will automatically result in the tumor regression. And it was accompanied by acute toxicity, and most animals became ill or died. Usually, we all have to understand one thing: when a drug or when a drug is introduced, when a drug was discovered by a scientist, means first it has to go to the animal studies. Animal studies is nothing but the mice. Then next, after mice, then they have to come to cell lines. That is phase 2. Like that, they will classify. Then after that, it will come out to the humans. These two, I mean, first the animals on the cell lines will allow the results from that will serve as a whether the drug can be introduced to humans or not. Then this shifted the focus to a non-pathogenic strain of Clostridium, such as M55. It is a strain type, which showed that it was able to colonize anaerobic parts of the tumor following intravenous administration, but did not produce any significant tumor regression. Next, recently, a number of anaerobic bacterial species like Bifidobacteria, Lactobacilli, and pathogenic Clostridia have screened for their ability to accumulate in the experimental tumors in animals. Clostridium novii demonstrated the significant anti-tumor effect, but these experiments too culminated in the death. An attenuated strain known as Clostridium novii NT, NT is a strain type, was obtained after deleting a gene coding for a lethal toxin exhibit. Lethal toxin exhibited good results but produced toxicity also. Thus, Clostridium novii NT spores were administered in combination with the conventional chemotherapeutic agents like dolostatin 10, mitomycin C, vinorelbine, and docetaxel. These are all the drugs. I mean, these are all the potential drugs which was produced by the Clostridium novii. Then the strategy known as the cobalt, which is nothing but the combination bacteriolytic therapy, resulted in a significant anti-tumor properties, but still was not devoid of animal deaths. Clostridium novii has been investigated in conjugation with radiotherapy, radioimmunotherapy, and further chemotherapy in experimental tumor models. And the results demonstrated the potential of combined multimodality approaches as developmental further cancer therapy, in the development of further cancer therapy. Clostridium novii NT has been exploited to enhance the release of liposome encapsulated drugs within the tumors because of its evident membrane disrupting potential. The bacteria factor responsible for enhancing the drug release has been identified as a lipomase, remarkable eradication of tumor in mice bearing large established tumors by employing Clostridium novii NT plus a single dose of liposomal doxorubicin has led to further studies in the field. Next, to make the poorly understood vascularized region of the tumor accessible to drugs, this organism was used in combination with the antimicrotubule agents. And following, the results also demonstrated the microtubule destabilizers such as HTI 286 and vinorelbine, but not the microtubule stabilizers such as taxanes, docetaxel, and MAC 321, which is radically reduced blood flow to tumors, thereby enlarging the hypoxic region favorable for the spores germination. Next, Bacillus calmette-guerin. The most successful bacterial agent so far used is specifically for the treatment of superficial bladder cancer. Uh, VNP, which is nothing but the short form of a scientist, which is nothing but the product. A product came from the BCG. It is a derivative strain. It is another type of strain from Salmonella typhimurium. Typhimurium has now been developed for use in the cancer treatment. This VNP 2009 was first introduced in the BCG. Derived from the BCG. The next, now it was from another strain, Salmonella. It is now developing from that. This, for example, from bacteria. This is this is one bacteria. From this bacteria, the products which can be the product can be chemotherapeutic drugs. The bacterial products can be chemotherapeutic drugs, then immunotherapeutic drugs, and other therapeutic drugs. And then bacterial membrane vesicles. These vesicles can act as a radiotherapeutic drugs and thermotherapeutic drugs. Next, deletion of mainly, like I said earlier, proteins have the therapeutic values. Meanwhile, gene is nothing but to perform the function. From that, deletion of two of its genes, like MSBB and PURI, resulted in a complete attenuation, which is nothing but preventing toxic shock in the animal host, which is dependent on the external sources of purine for survival. This dependence renders the organisms incapable of replicating in the normal tissue, such as liver or spleen, but still capable of growing in tumors where purine is available. Then this vector showed long-lasting efficiency against a broad range of experimental tumors and was even able to target metastatic lesions. One advantage of using Salmonella instead of Clostridium and Bifidobacterium is that its ability to grow in both aerobic and anaerobic condition, indicating that usefulness against the tumors, small tumors. Then this product has been investigated successfully in phase 1 trials in cancer patients. It is also likely that other live attenuated bacteria such as Clostridia and Bifidobacterium will be evaluated in the human clinical trials in the near future, upcoming days. New strains of bacteria being investigated as an anti-cancer agents are Salmonella, Choleraceus, Vibrio cholerae, Listeria monocytogenes, and even Escherichia coli. Bacteria, next, that bacteria as a vector for gene therapy. The major problem with using bacteria as anti-cancer agents is the toxicity at the dose required for the therapeutic efficiency, and reducing the dose results in the diminished efficiency. And the basic obstacle in cancer gene therapy is the specific targeting of therapy directed to a solid tumor. One approach to overcome these limitations has been the use of bacteria, which is genetically engineered to express a specific therapeutic gene. By producing a protein of interest, specifically in the tumor microenvironment, these bacterial vectors can provide a powerful adjuvant therapy to various cancer treatments. Thus, bacteria serve as a vectors or vehicles for preferably delivering anti-cancer agents, cytotoxic peptide, therapeutic proteins, or product converting enzyme to solid tumors. Next, bacteria are carriers of vector of tumoricidal agents. These are all the genes which CYA and CRP are the genes encoding the proteins which is involved in the regulation of cyclic AMP levels. Mutant of Salmonella typhimurium has been engineered to express the interleukin-2 for the treatment of liver cancer in preclinical model. Since Salmonella typhimurium naturally colonizes in liver, it is hypothesized that its attenuated form could be used to deliver cytokinins locally to liver with an effect on hepatic metastasis. Various therapeutic protein including TNF-alpha and platelet factor 4 fragment have been cloned and expressed in BNP 20009 type. Then HIL12, HGM, CSF, MIL12, and MGM, CSF have been cloned. These strains are cloned under the control of cytomegalovirus CMV promoter into SL3261, an autotrophic Salmonella typhimurium. It was found that oral administration of Salmonella expressing either MGM-SF, CSF or MGM-CSF plus MIL-12 caused tumor regression in the mice bearing Lewis lung carcinomas. Functional TNF-alpha has been cloned and expressed in C. acetobutylicium. And following Bifidobacterium adolescentis have been recently used as a delivery system for anti-angiogenic protein endostatin. Systematic administration of its spores via tail vein of tumor-bearing mice resulted in a strong inhibition of angiogenesis and reduced tumor growth. Bacterially directed enzyme prodrug therapy. This strategy overcome the unacceptable side effects of bacterial therapy, which used anaerobic bacteria that have been transformed with an enzyme that can convert non-toxic prodrug into a toxic drug. With the proliferation of the bacteria in the necrotic and hypoxic areas of the tumor, this enzyme is expressed solely in the tumor, which automatically stops the growth of the tumor. Thus, systematically applied prodrug is metabolized to toxic drug only in the tumor. Several enzyme or prodrug systems are available. Then CD, which is nothing but the cytosine deaminase, which converts 5-fluorocytosine to 5-fluorouracil, and nitroreductase, which convert the prodrug CB19542 to DNA cross-linking agent that have been tested with the Clostridium sporogenes. Although these combinations can kill tumor cells in vitro and deliver high concentration of enzymes to model tumors, till date, the results in vivo has been disappointing. Some in vitro results has to be carried out to apply for cancer treatment or cancer curable in the near future. Similarly, CD expressed in Clostridium acetobutylicium has been demonstrated as selective delivery of the active exogenous enzyme into the tumors. Recently, it was demonstrated that the CD can be successfully cloned and expressed in some strains of the Clostridium, and this expression was enhanced significantly by vascular targeting agent, namely combristatin A4 phosphate. This enhancement may be due to the enlargement of necrotic areas in the tumors. Next, the Salmonella vector has also been combined with NR and CD, and the success has been observed in vivo. And both are currently undergoing phase 1 clinical trials in cancer patients. TAPET, which is nothing but the tumor amplified protein expression therapy, which uses this strain, an attenuated strain of Salmonella typhimurium, as a bacterial vector and expresses an E. coli CD for preferentially delivering anti-cancer drugs to solid tumors. The expression of this prodrug converting enzyme, HSV thymidine kinase, which is in a purine auxotrophy, has demonstrated enhanced anti-tumor activity upon the addition of the ganciclovir, the corresponding prodrug. Next, expression of HSV TK in this type strain has demonstrated its selective accumulation in subcutaneously implanted murine colon 38 tumors. Next, Salmonella has been combined with, after that, Salmonella was combined with the carboxypeptidase, which is an enzyme that converts a range of mustard prodrugs to DNA cross-linking agents. High level of this enzyme activity has been detected in tumors following in vivo administration, prompting the further research. For significant efficiency, both the prodrug and the activated drug must be able to cross biological membranes, because the prodrug will be activated within the bacterial cell, and the active drug will then need to enter the tumor cells. Transfected B. longum by PBLES 100S ECD produces a cytosine deaminase. This is a type of strain which produces cytosine deaminase in the hypoxic tumor, and studies have confirmed this was an effective prodrug enzyme therapy. Next, these are all the enzyme related information not till date information available for enzyme therapy. Next, bacterial toxins for cancer treatment. Bacterial toxins have to some extent already has been tested for cancer treatment, like I previously explained. Bacterial toxins can kill cells or at reduced levels and which can alter cellular process that control proliferation, apoptosis, and differentiation. These alterations are associated with the carcinogenesis and may either stimulate cellular abbreviation or inhibit normal cell controls. Next, cell cycle inhibitors such as CDTs, cytolethal distenting toxins, and the cycle inhibiting factor CIF, which block mitosis and are thought to compromise the immune system by inhibiting clonal expansion of the lymphocytes. In contrast, cell cycle stimulators such as the cytotoxic necrotizing factor CNF promote cellular proliferation and interfere with cell differentiation. Bacterial toxins that subvert the host eukaryotic cell cycle have been classified as the cyclomodulins. For example, this CNF is a cell cycle stimulator which is released by some types of bacteria such as E. coli. Then the CNF triggers G1S transition and S transition phase and induces DNA replication. Thus, the number of cells does not increase. However, the cells become multinucleated instead perhaps by the toxin's ability to inhibit the cell differentiation and apoptosis. CDTs are normally found in several species of gram-negative bacteria, including the Campylobacter jejuni and Salmonella typhi, while CIF is found in the EPEC, enteropathogenic and enterohemorrhagic EHEC in E. coli. These are all the types of strains, types of variant in the E. coli. The anti-tumor effect of the toxins is probably with reduced side effects when compared to traditional tumor treatment. Bacterial toxins per se, these bacterial toxins, when combined with the anti-cancer drugs or irradiation, could therefore possibly increase the efficiency of cancer treatment. Next, bacterial toxins binding to the, how these bacterial toxins binding to the tumor surface antigens, and what is the role. DT, which is nothing but the diphtheria toxin, which binds to the surface of the cells, expressing the heparin binding epidermal growth factors like growth factor, HBEGF precursor. Then DTHBEGF, this growth factor complex is internalized after endocytosis via the Clathrin vesicles. Subsequently, this undergoes several post-translation modification, which is automatically results in catalytically active toxin, which is called DT fragment A. This catalytically ribosylates elongation factor 2 leads to the inhibition of protein synthesis with subsequent cell lysis and induction of apoptosis. Likewise, like DT, Pseudomonas endotoxin A, which is also known to catalytically ribosylate EF2, which automatically lead to the inhibition of protein synthesis for the tumor cells or for the cancer cells. Extremely high cytotoxicity of this toxin with a lethal dosage of 0.3 microgram after injection in mice makes it a potential candidate for targeted cancer therapy. Then Clostridium perfringens type A strain. The causative agents of gastroenteritis produces Clostridium perfringens endotoxin, CPE. The C-terminal domain of the CPE is responsible for high affinity binding to the CPE receptor, and the N-terminal is assumed to be essential for the cytotoxicity. Studies have shown that the purified CPE exerts an acute cytotoxic effect on the pancreatic cancer cells and lead to the tumor necrosis and the inhibition of tumor growth in vivo. It is being investigated for colon cancer, breast cancer, and gastric cancer. Moreover, before evaluating the CPE for systematic cancer therapy, its long-term efficiency and lack of toxicity in vivo need to be demonstrated. A recent study has demonstrated for the first time that botulinum neurotoxin briefly opens tumor vessels, allowing more effective destruction of cancer cells by radiotherapy and chemotherapy. And it has been also proposed that BONTs act by an effect of the tumor microenvironment rather than by a direct cytotoxic effect on the tumor cells. Next, some bacterial toxins like alpha toxin from S. aureus and AC toxin from B. pertussis and Shiga-like toxins and cholera toxins are presently being studied on 2 cell lines, which is nothing but the mesothelioma cell lines P31 and small lung cancer cell lines. Then preliminary result with AC toxin showed increasing cytotoxicity with increasing dose of AC toxin in both cell lines, and the toxin increased apoptosis. However, cholera toxin did not induce apoptosis. Next, bacterial toxin, how it is conjugated to ligands. Ligands are nothing but the receptors. Then this protein toxins such as Pseudomonas endotoxin and diphtheria toxin and ricin may be useful in cancer therapy because they are among the most potent cancer killing agents. Although there are very lethal for therapeutic efficiency, these toxins need to be targeted to specific sites on the surface of the cancer cell. This process is accomplished by eliminating binding to toxin receptors by conjugating the toxins to cell binding proteins such as monoclonal antibodies or growth factor. These conjugates bind and kill cancer cells selectively, thus sparing normal cells, which don't bind the conjugates. A wide variety of DT ligands such as IL-3, IL-4, granulocyte colony stimulating factor, transferrin, EGF, and vascular endothelial growth factor have been studied for targeted tumors. The transferrin DT conjugate and DT EGF have reached the stage of clinical trials in patients of a brain tumor and metastatic carcinomas respectively. Similarly, a large variety of antibodies and ligands to surface antigen overexpressed in different tumors have been conjugated to PE. Next, important ones tested in the clinical trials are IL-4, IL-13, and monoclonal antibody recognizing a carbohydrate antigen, Lewis-Y, reacting with metastatic adenocarcinoma cells and transforming growth factors. Another approach is to produce genetically modified or recombinant toxin. This can be achieved by deleting the DNA coding for the toxin binding region and replacing it with the various complementary DNA encoding other cell binding proteins. That has been possible to make chimeric toxins which kill cells on the basis of newly acquired binding activity. The ability of these chimeras may be useful in designing future toxin-based anti-cancer therapies. For targeted DT therapy, deletion within the DT receptor binding domain. These are all the amino acid residues and targeted mutation of the critical HBEGF precursor binding loop. In that loop, these are all the amino acid have been in usage now. Recently, a recombinant interleukin-4 Pseudomonas exotoxin for therapy of glioblastoma have been developed. In vivo experiments with new mice have demonstrated that IL-4 PE has significant anti-tumor activity against human glioblastoma tumor model. Then intratumor administration of IL-4 PE is being investigated for the treatment of malignant astrocytoma in phase 1 clinical trial. Next, bacteria as immunotherapeutic agents. Immunotherapy for the cancer offers a great promise as an emerging and effective approach. Since the tumors are immunogenic, the immunotherapeutic strategy employs a stimulation of the immune system to destroy cancerous cells. But the major hurdle is that the ability of the tumors to escape the immune system due to the development of tolerance as they are weakly immunogenic, and sometimes the body takes them as a self-antigen. Thus, one of the novel immunotherapeutic strategies employ bacteria to enhance the antigenicity of the tumor cells. Attenuated live vaccine, but still invasive, the Salmonella typhimurium has been reported to infect malignant cells in both in vivo and in vitro, thereby triggering the immune response. Attenuated Salmonella typhimurium has been demonstrated successful invention of the melanoma cells that can present antigenic determinants of the bacterial origin and became targets for the anti-Salmonella specific T cells. However, better outcomes were achieved after vaccinating tumor bearing mice with the Salmonella typhimurium before intratumoral Salmonella injection. Genetically engineered attenuated strains of Salmonella typhimurium expressing the murine cytokines have exhibited the capacity to modulate the immunity to infection and have retarded the growth of the experimental melanomas. Results have suggested that the IL-2 encoding, interleukin-2 encoding Salmonella organism are superior in suppressing the tumor growth as compared to the potential non-cytokine expressing strain. Now we have seen the advantages of the bacterial therapy, bacteria immunotherapy, bacteria as a vector. In science, there will be a positive and both negative. In such cases, the negativity will be more. Here, now we are seeing about the problems with the bacterial therapy. A major problem with using bacteria as anti-cancer agents is the toxicity or the dose required for therapeutic efficiency, and reducing the dose results in the diminished efficiency. Moreover, systemic infection of bacteria is rather inconvenient and carries high risk of obvious toxicity. Furthermore, even removal of the toxic genes, like in the cobalt therapy, lead to the approximately 15 to 45 mortality death in mice. For example, in 100 mice, approximately 45 to 50 mice have died. Another major problem is that incomplete tumor lysis, which is nothing but the bacteria don't consume all parts of the malignant tissue, thus necessitating the combination of therapy with chemotherapeutic treatments. A more difficult problem is that of treating small non-necrotic metastasis of large primary tumors, as metastasis is a major cause of mortality from cancer. Because of small hypoxic region of this metastasis, targeting by bacteria is difficult. In such cases, bacteria-based vector therapy, the major hurdle is inaccessibility, because most of the times an intratumoral injection is required. Another major concern regarding bacterial therapy is the potential for DNA mutation, which is any loss of function due to functionality due to the mutation lead to the wide variety of problems like failure of therapy or exaggerated infection. Although some of the safety concerns have been solved with the recombinant DNA technology, it demands further development. These are all the preclinical studies which has been done for evaluating the molecular anti-tumor effects made by genetically engineered bacteria. These are all some of the bacterium. From that bacteria, these are all some of the products which are nothing but the molecule, and these are all some of the results, most relevant result which I obtained from the from one recently published article in cancer. For example, this VNP, this from S typhimurium. These are all the types of strains. These are all the types of molecule which they used, and these are from this genus Listeria monocytogenes. From this genus, these are all the various strain, and these are all the various molecule, and these are all the relevant results. And that star indicates the antigen expressed on tumor, how it is expressing on the tumor. Then from the Clostridium, these are all the type of strains, these are all the molecule, and these are all some of the results which I observed from the recent publications. Next conclusion. At last, different applications of bacteria have been investigated so far as the cancer treatment modalities. Live attenuated bacteria as anti-tumor agents and vector for gene-directed enzyme product therapy have emerged as a potential strategies. Then these type of VNP2 0009 and TAPET CD have been investigated successfully in phase 1 clinical trials in cancer patients. Chimeric toxins are also being investigated as future toxin-based anti-cancer therapeutics, anti-cancer therapies. IL-4 fused with Pseudomonas endotoxin is in phase 1 clinical trial. This is the current this is the current stage in the cancer treatment. Further investigation and development in this studies or in these results will add a new dimension to cancer treatment. These are all some of the future direction which I got while reading that articles. Currently, bacteria have shown promising and significant potency in eradicating established tumors found in the preclinical mouse tumor models. However, the successful translation of these preclinical strategies into clinical practice will depend on the outcome of the clinical trials. Among all these, anaerobic bacteria, vector-mediated cancer therapy, and immunotherapy are very promising. But since cancer is a multifactorial disease, no single therapy is completely suitable for it. A combination of recombinant DNA technology along with immunotherapy applied to the anaerobic bacteria will serve as the foundation for multimodality therapeutic strategies for cancer in near future. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Now the forum is open for questions. Please feel free to unmute yourself and post your questions. You can even type your questions in the chat box. Okay, so yeah, sir, there is a question in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am. I'm seeing. Is chemotherapy becoming obsolete? Respected sir, Rachi WT sir, I didn't understand what is being the obsolete. Hence now, sir, but I didn't understand that word, but I am explaining that chemotherapy, actually chemotherapy has many advantages and disadvantages, sir. If we look for the advantages means, without any side effect, we can go. But nowadays, scientists are working for the cancer cure, for curing the cancer, not for treating the cancer. So in order to overcome that, now chemogene therapy has been involved, and I mean chemogene therapy has came, and in near future we will see what is the difference between chemotherapy. I mean, what is the advantage of chemotherapy from the chemogene therapy? Till now, I can answer this. This was my answer.
Okay, ma'am, I think the speaker had answered your question. And sir, I think she wants to know if that has become out of date, like it's not being used currently.
No, ma'am. Nowadays, it is chemotherapy is in usage nowadays, but we need to get the proper curable treatment. Now, chemotherapy is in not outdated; it is in update only. It is in usage till date. In near future, once when chemogene therapy comes, then only we can say that chemotherapy has been outdated. Like how after chemotherapy comes, radiotherapy has been outdated, like that.
Okay. So, any other questions?
And thank you, Prachimam, which is a nice question. Are there any side effects by getting chemotherapy, sir? Yes, sir. There are many side effects, sir, because the enzymes can easily go and react with the easily go and react with any receptors. There are no much difference between the human genome and the microbial genome. The only difference is some of the genes present in the human gene is not present in the microbes. So, for if we use chemotherapy continuously, means in our body some other process, like some other unwanted process, which results due to the binding of that enzyme to the particular receptor. So automatically there will be a side effects. In order to overcome and in order to understand what will be the side effects, now chemogene therapy is upcoming in the upcoming days. And thank you, sir. Good question it was. Haribabu, sir. Thank you.
Sir, someone wants to know if there are any internship opportunities available for this kind of projects.
any internship opportunities. Yeah, currently in Bharatiya University, they are working on this enzyme. But if I come to know about any internship, here I will share my mail ID. If anyone wants to know anything clear, or if any internship they need, they can personally approach me. This is my mail ID. I've shared my mail ID. So if any internship, or if you want to grow your career on this cancer therapeutic field, means you feel free to approach me. I will guide you all. Thank you. Thank you, Hivarkar. Yogeshwari Hivarkar. Thank you. And one more question is, cancer is seen naturally in any lower vertebrate? Karan sir, yeah, it is seen, but that is not given that much importance. It will be seen in the lower vertebrate, but humans won't mind about that. So that is the answer, sir. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, so are there any other questions? So, okay. Thank you so much, Anand sir, for accepting our invitation and giving a very detailed talk on cancer therapeutics and how microbial biome can be a good solution for that. So we are very happy to host you. Thank you everybody who have joined us this evening. Do follow us on our social media pages. So we are Sai_Chronicle on Instagram and Facebook. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.